Chapter 10 of Rethinking Scoliosis: Why Regular Exercises Don't Work. Most people think that core strength workouts, planks, crunches, sit-ups, and yoga poses should fix a crooked spine. Yet research and everyday experience show they rarely stop scoliosis from worsening, because the human spine is not steered by willpower or big surface muscles, but by tiny, lightning-fast reflexes housed deep in the hind brain. And those reflexes do their job miles under the reach of conscious thought. This chapter explains why traditional exercises miss the mark, and why Scoli-Specific Core Stabilization drills, designed by Scoli-Smart, succeed by talking directly to the body's automatic postural wiring. When you try to stand up straight in front of a mirror, your eyes send a message to the cerebral cortex, which then orders big muscles like the rectus abdominis or the latissimus dorsi to tighten. And you may look taller for a moment, but as soon as you turn away, the command fades, and the spine springs back to its old curve, because the midbrain and brainstem, the autopilot centers that run balance while you walk, read, or text, never got the memo. Imagine trying to hold a golf ball steady on a plate during a bumpy car ride by using only finger pressure from above. That is what conscious bracing of big muscles feels like to the spine, a clumsy, top-down push that fails whenever motion or distraction cuts in. In contrast, the body's postural system relies on rapid-fire messages from proprioceptors, microscopic sensors buried in joints, tendons, and deep spinal muscles. These sensors send information to the cerebellum, a hindbrain hub that adjusts muscle tone 200 times a second, so fast your thinking brain cannot keep up. Traditional gym routines may strengthen visible muscles, but they ignore proprioception, leaving the cerebellum with the same blurry map of where the spine sits in space, so the reflex programs that guide everyday posture never change. Worse, standard core drills often train both sides of the body symmetrically, yet scoliosis twists the spine into an asymmetrical shape, meaning one set of muscles is already overworking while the opposite side is underfiring. Loading both equally simply adds strength on top of imbalance, like tightening one brake pad when the other is loose. Better grip, same drift. Scoli-Smart's Scoli-Specific approach turns the problem inside out. Instead of conscious effort, it bombards the hindbrain with fresh proprioceptive input, forcing the cerebellum to update its map and rewrite the automatic commands sent to spinal muscles. Key drills use equipment such as a balance board, weighted resistance bands, and the Scoli-Smart activity suit, but their secret lies not in brute force, but in pattern. Each movement crosses the midline, twists, or tilts in just the angle opposite a patient's curve, setting off a chain reaction of stretch receptors that travel up the spinal cord to the brainstem. Once there, the signals nudge the vestibular nuclei, balance centers that sort input from the inner ear, eyes, and joints, telling them the spine is drifting off central gravity. The nuclei then fire corrective signals back down to deep stabilizers like the multifidus and rotators, which wrap vertebrae like guide wires on a tower. These micromuscles pull the bones toward a truer line without the person consciously flexing. The power of repeated stimulation is huge. Every 15-minute routine can trigger 10,000 reflex loops, and when done daily over 12 weeks, that adds up to more than 500,000 corrections, each one laying a neural brick that hardens into what therapists call postural memory. Postural memory is why you can ride a bike years after your last pedal. Your cerebellum remembers the balance pattern. So the goal of Scoli-Specific drills is to pour new, straighter patterns into that same memory vault. Motion X-rays confirm that sway and side shift shrink even when kids are distracted by talking or watching a video, proving that the change lives in reflexes, not conscious effort. These neurological wins translate into real-world gains, such as deeper inhalation, because ribs rotate more evenly, and less fatigue during class, because the spine no longer leans crooked. Regular sports, though healthy, cannot substitute for Scoli-specific exercises. Basketball, dance, or swimming spread effort across many joints in random patterns that rarely attack the exact angle of an individual's curve, so proprioceptive input lacks the sharp, curve-opposite signal needed to rewrite reflex maps. It is like trying to erase a pencil mark with broad paint strokes. You cover lots of paper, but leave the line intact. Another myth is that adding weights or resistance bands to common core exercises will solve the problem. Heavy loads do make muscles bigger and bones denser, but they also increase compressive forces on an already misshapen spine, risking pain and faster disc wear. Scoli-specific rehabilitation, by contrast, use light resistance and focus on timing, coordination, and sensory feedback, aiming to realign the spine before heavier sports strengthen the new pattern. The protocol begins with a baseline Cobb angle, posture photos, and a quick balance scan that measures sway pattern. Over the first few weeks, repetitions stay low to avoid soreness and to ensure form is perfect, because sloppy motion feeds noisy signals that dilute learning. From weeks 3 to 6, the load slowly increases, maybe a slightly stiffer band or a wobble board with a higher dome, pushing proprioceptors to fire under harder conditions. By week 12, the drills become second nature. Many kids can chat with friends while performing them, a sign that the reflex patterns have moved from conscious control to automatic execution. Because the rehab sessions are only 15 minutes, they slide easily into morning routines or sport warm-ups, keeping compliance high. Families are taught a simple habit loop. Suit up, do drills, mark a tracker sticker on the fridge, celebrate. The sticker chart is more than gamification. It gives the midbrain a predictable cue, ensuring that reflex circuits build below the awareness line. For teens, the biggest win is freedom. They can move naturally, play sports, and dress like their peers instead of hiding a bulky brace. The emotional boost feeds back into the body, lowering cortisol, which itself helps bone and muscle. Long-term maintenance is simple. One mini session 3 times a week keeps postural memory fresh, much like brushing teeth keeps plaque away. If a new growth spurt or life change knocks the reflex map off track, the child revisits the clinic for a quick tune-up and adjusted drill angles. The spine is an organ of balance, governed by the fastest networks in the nervous system, and any treatment that ignores that speed is like trying to change a song after the band has finished playing. Scoli-Specific Core Stabilization succeeds because it speaks the language of reflexes. Short, precise, repeated signals that the hindbrain hears loud and clear, turning each session into a conversation where the body learns, remembers, and finally acts on a straighter story.